This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with a daily wrestling news update, and there's a lot of wrestling news today. I'll get right into it. Sorry to report that Don Kernodle, who was a mainstay in the Mid-Atlantic territory, passed away at the age of 71 years old on Monday. According to Dave Meltzer, his death was self-inflicted, but there's no further details on exactly what happened. According to some other reports I read, he'd had numerous health issues over the past several years. Being from Canada, I'm not really that familiar with him. I do know he was in a very successful tag team with Sergeant Slaughter that had some great crowds in the early 80s, but also he was before my time as well, as in a different territory. But sorry to hear about his passing. WWE's pay-per-view on Sunday, Backlash, was the first time in the history of WWE that one of their pay-per-views failed to crack the top 20 in Google searches. And the number 20 search on Sunday on Google was only 100,000 searches. So this would indicate, according to the Wrestling Observer, that this was the lowest interest of any pay-per-view in the company's history, with the exception of possibly some overseas shows they've done in like the UK and Saudi Arabia that didn't really get much mainstream interest. Speaking of that pay-per-view, the New York Post called the match that The Miz was involved with the Zombies one of the saddest moments in WWE history. I didn't even want to watch it, but one of the saddest moments in history to me was about a year ago when they had that match in WWE where they ended up in a dumpster. Then there was suddenly a giant squid in the dumpster, and then the camera just faded out, and there was never any mention of the squid again. Herb Simmons has a comment on here about Don Kernodle being a great worker and was underestimated at times. Alan Kesselman says what Raw was pretty awful. I'll continue with the news though. According to the Matt Men's podcast, WWE is going to start to do tapings in front of fans again for the July 16th SmackDown. There's also a Money in the Bank pay-per-view that weekend. And apparently there's going to be a new set. Obviously, they're not going to be using the Thunderdome. And they're probably not going to go back to the pre-COVID set. So, yes, you can expect a new set. WWE hasn't formally announced its return to touring yet. But that announcement is expected shortly because AEW is returning to touring in Texas and Florida in July as well. And they're actually having more fans at their Double or Nothing pay-per-view this month than they've had since the pandemic. They've sold about 3,000 tickets for their Double or Nothing pay-per-view that's taking place later this month. And the pre-sales for the Texas and Miami Dynamite tapings are pretty good. The Saudi Arabia Ministry of Sports is going to be returning to events with fans, so that should indicate the WWE will probably be coming back soon. There was a Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight announced for Saudi Arabia. However, this might not happen now because Deontay Wilder had a clause in his contract for an automatic rematch. So they're either going to have to pay him a large sum of money to waive that rematch right, or that fight's not going to happen. And I just keep seeing all this stuff about fans returning, and here in Ontario, Canada, we're on full lockdown, the highest lockdown they've ever had until at least June 2nd. They keep pushing it back further and further, but it's really sad how far behind we are here. This horrible guy we have running the province of Ontario, Doug Ford, has actually said on the record he would like to close down the entire Toronto airport. So, real idiots we have running the country here in Canada, very far behind. Fit Finlay said that his son, who is a New Japan wrestler, has COVID. And some good news for the Hannibal TV fans. There is a custom match that was recorded yesterday with Selena De La Renta versus Amber Nova. And that match will be airing on the Hannibal TV by the end of the week. And by the way, we do have a merchandise site where you can get these very comfortable hoodies and other Great North Wrestling and the Hannibal TV merchandise gear. The link is in the description, or you can go to thehannibaltv.com and follow the links there. I'll get into a few of your comments here, Anthony. I'm doing all right. I'm already sick of this prisonish environment of Canada, but I'll make do. Michael says the zombie incident was a disgrace to wrestling. Traveling Man says squid is very yummy. You know what? Squid and octopus are actually two of my very favorite foods. Alan mentions the Cena Fiend match was pretty sad. That was one of the, I wouldn't even call that a match. That was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Get into some more. I don't know what this person's talking about. Evan Price says WWE is one big, long, sad moment. Rumar says Don Kernodle, he and his late brother used to work at Crockett Promotions. That's correct. Michael says Raw's been bad for 10 years. So bad, Kofi beating Lashley. I never heard about that. I know Kofi, for everyone that gave Billy Graham heat when Billy Graham said Kofi wasn't going to be a good champion, Kofi Kingston was champion when SmackDown had their lowest WWE TV taping attendance ever at Madison Square Garden a couple years ago, something like 7,000. And they even added The Undertaker to appear on the show at the last minute to try and save the attendance. So for people saying that Billy Graham was crazy about that, Billy Graham holds the record of most consecutive sellouts in Madison Square Garden. And another note, speaking of Billy Graham, I just read on his Facebook post before I did this that he's having more health problems and he has to go back into the hospital due to something to do with low iron. And he does have a GoFundMe for anyone that wants to help superstar Billy Graham. WWE certainly doesn't help him. He's on the banned Thunderdome list, despite all that he's done for the company. Raleigh says, New Jack now this. They say deaths come in threes. I don't really buy any of that. New Jack was really living on borrowed time for all the stuff he's done. He was admitted to be a hard drug user for decades. So I don't really see that as a surprise. When you're playing with that, you're really playing with a lot of danger. Chris, when am I going to return? I'm doing just great as a reporter. And I don't have to take any punishment. And I don't have to worry about getting screwed over by shady promoters or shady promotions. Evan says Wilder doesn't really want to fight Tyson Fury. Don't know. Yes, Canada is absolutely insane with the way they are, and most Canadians just take whatever they hear in the news as fact. I heard from so many people that, including the news, that there was like a quarantine when you had to go from Canada to the United States, and also that you wouldn't even be allowed into the United States. It was all bullshit. I had no issues going into the United States. Crossing back into Canada is where they give you the issues, and I am currently on a quarantine right now, um, which sucks because I'm fully vaccinated and I've had 3 um, COVID tests in the past 8 or 9 days, and I've been negative because I'm vaccinated. Yes, this Doug Ford guy is related to that drug addict, Rob Ford. Rob Ford was like the crack smoking mayor of Toronto, if anyone remembers him. Sad situation. Someone says Vince McMahon, so-called genius. Well, WWE is still the most profitable it's ever been. So if you consider how horrible and awful the current product is and unwatchable it is, and that the company's making more money than ever, I would have to say he's a genius. Traveling Man says the drug addict mayor Rob Ford was fucking awesome. He was a crazy, crazy character. I am not a fan of Toronto. Toronto and Ottawa, for those who don't know, are enemy cities. Ottawa, where I live, is the capital of Canada, and Toronto is the capital of Ontario. Toronto likes to think they're the capital of Canada. The people of that city in general are extremely arrogant. Traffic is horrible, and their government officials are complete dimwits. How on earth is WWE the most profitable it's been? Well, Peacock signed $1 billion deal with them, and I believe the Fox deal is like hundreds of millions a year, and the USA Network deals are worth hundreds of millions. So there we go. Jay Stacks, why is Johnny Ace back as head of talent relations? Well, Triple H obviously wasn't doing a very good job of it. And that Mark Carano guy that was sending talent. This is funny. That Mark Carano guy that was fired recently from talent relations for sending Mickie James her belongings back in a garbage bag or something. WWE always talks about the family, but once you're out of there, look at Billy Graham. All he did for the company. If it wasn't for Billy Graham, there would be no Hulk Hogan. He invented brother as a wrestling term. He invented the pythons. He invented the term superstar. He invented the ear cup. He did the shirt rip before Hulk Hogan. Huge legend, and they treat him like absolute shit. Toronto Blue Jays stink. I agree. I was actually at the Texas Rangers game along with 38,000 other fans when the Rangers destroyed the Blue Jays not too long ago. So I'm going to go downstairs and have a basement workout in the middle of the night here because I am a vampire. I will update you guys later. By the way, there's some new Kevin Sullivan podcasts that are going to be uploaded in the coming days on this channel. There's going to be a Francine interview next week, a Shane Douglas interview, because Francine, Shane Douglas, Scorpio, and I were all booted off of a certain Texas wrestling company that seems to have lost a lot of its momentum. But I'm going to happily have them on my channel because people love them. Who is Don Kernodle? Look him up. And a guy that was popular in the 80s in the Carolinas, for the fans in the Carolinas. The Pope of Sports and Entertainment says he's got the vaccine, no more testing. I wish it was like that in Canada. They don't care whether you have the vaccine or not. You still have to get the same rules. Shout out from McAllen, Texas. Thank you, buddy. Have a great night, everyone in Texas and everywhere else. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month.